What's going on YouTube? So I will be doing a oil change for the Panigale today. It already has about 3,300 miles on it. So I got it around 3,000 miles when I got the bike. So usually when I buy a motorcycle, I usually just do an oil change even though it's not due, just so that I have a peace of mind that that it's clean and so it's ready for the next milestone service. So here's the oil change parts that I'm going to be using. I got these from the dealership. So here's the oil filter. It's an element filter now. It's not the conventional screw-on type. And here's the washer. And you'll be using 3.5 quarts around there. So I have some leftover used one from when I did the Monster. So I'll be using that. So hopefully I get to use all of them. This is the right side of the bike. You don't have to remove this section here, but I think for me, I will remove it because the sight glass is hidden in here and it's kind of hard to see. You can see it, but I mean it's just kind of hard. So I might as well remove it. But most of the work happens at the left side of the bike, which is here. So all the oil filter access is in here too. So I'm gonna remove that, and we'll get started. So I'll start with removing these bolts here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 and 7 on the bottom, and there's another one back here. I don't know if you guys can see that, but there's like a tab right here that you have to remove. So I'll do that, and then we'll pull this out, and we'll do the same for the other side, and we'll get a great nicer view of the inside after that. Alright YouTube, so we got the panel off. Here's the bolts that I used. So let me move that out of the way. So the easy way to keep track of what bolts go where is if there is a clear washer like this, these are the ones that touches the paint, and these are the ones that are in the inner side and the underside. So these two are the ones on the bottom of the fairing, and this is the one in the inside panel towards the wheel area. And I only use these two Allen keys here, so to remove this whole panel, and it just kind of drops down from this section. It just drops straight down. It's not like clipped or hanging into anything. So here's what it looks like now. You can see your exhaust, and the drain plug is, you see this engine casing, it's in the bottom. Kind of hard to see. I wish I had a lift. So see if I can angle it. It's that one right there. It's a 14 millimeter. Yeah. See if I can. Yeah. So there you go. So it's a 14 millimeter, and I'll try to break that open. Hopefully I have access. It's easier if you have a lift. Alright YouTube, so I got both panels removed, left and right. And let's take a look here what we have. So here's the right side panel removed. Here you can see the sight glass. Much better than with the fairing on. And it's a good time to just inspect the bike, because this is the lower part where it gets hit most of the debris and dirt, and it's actually a good time for you to go clean in here. But it's, from the looks of it, it looks very clean still, so I don't have to do much cleaning on this side. But I think the inside of the fairing is the one catching all the debris anyway. So the exhaust you can clean in here. I don't know if you care to, but it's nice to look in there. It's the advantages of a naked bike is you don't have to deal with the fairings. But for the fairings one, yeah, you gotta have to pay a little closer attention. You got the Termi exhaust in there. It's kind of nice to admire. A very expensive exhaust, $4,000. And yeah, so I think the bike is cool enough that I can remove the drain bolt down there, and we can start draining it. Alright YouTube, so it's been draining for a little bit. As you can see, I backed out the 14 millimeter bolt. Sorry, you guys can't see it. Apology for you guys can't see, but it's a 14 millimeter bolt in there for the drain plug. And I'm gonna measure later how much oil has been drained out of here. The oil was still warm, so it's a good thing that I rode it before I did the oil change, so the oil flows a little bit better. So here is our oil drain bolt, plug, whatever, and hopefully it focuses. So you can see all these debris on here at 3,000 miles, some gunk stuff. So that's why I never trust, even though it's low mileage and it came from like a reputable dealer. I mean, I just can't be sure. So for my own peace of mind, I still do the oil change myself, so that I know that I looked into it and I know that it's fresh during my ownership. As you can see, there's like a gray 3 bond there. It's part of the manual to put some on there to lock the threads, but I'm not sure if you really need to. If you have it, it's good to use it. I don't have it, so I'm just gonna thread it back on. I'm not gonna try to scrape it off, so it will still be there when I thread it back. So here we go. I'm gonna try to clean this out and show you guys how it looks like clean. Alright YouTube, we're back. So just gonna give you guys a look of the drain plug when it's all clean. As you can see, it was black earlier. Now it's a magnetic drain plug, so it's now a nice silver chrome finish. So that's what it should look like. I'll brush off some of the gunk here, I guess some of the 3 bond, so he'll have a clean seal. So you can see the top of the head bolt, it's taking a beating because it's facing the front of the bike like this, and it's taking a beating right up here. So I mean, if you care about that, you can get a new plug, but I don't know, maybe someday I'll get like something more like a CNC or something like that. So here we go, and here's the old crush washer. It's the first oil change since the first 600-mile oil change, so it's not going to be in any rough shape. It's not even getting crushed that much or anything. There's no grooves, so but I'll replace it anyway, so to get a good seal. All right, so here's the tricky part. Here's the oil filter housing. We will remove this 2 bolts and pull this thing out. There are 2 O-rings making a suction here, so it's kind of hard to pull out. They did mention a trick of putting a screw in here, which is one size larger, M8 I believe, and you can help a long screw, so you can use those screws to pull this off. I'll try to do that, see if I can find a screw. But at the same time, you see that you're gonna find that you might hit your exhaust with all the oil coming down. So that's why I have this foils. So I'm just gonna lay it on here and see if I can get a good coverage. So I took out the screws, which are 8mm hex bolts here, and as you can see, there's some threads on the, if I can point it to you, there's threads on this surface here. On both of them, there's threads. So what the trick is that you get a screw that's a little bit bigger than the 8mm here. So it's not a little bit, actually, it's a lot of big. So it's this bolt here. It's an M8, and it threads right to there just by hand. It won't go any further because it will be inside the 8mm section, so it won't fit in there. So you just kind of thread this in here, right, like that. So hand tight, so just as soon as it goes in there, and you use this to pull this whole thing off. So maybe I'll do it off camera because I don't have anybody holding the camera for me. Alright, so as soon as I pulled it out, a lot more oil came out. You see the oil filter is in there, and here's what it looks like, the cover. There's 2 O-rings in here. If you didn't pinch them, or if you didn't pinch them, or you didn't tear them apart or something like that, you don't have to replace them, but it's good measure to just replace them if you feel so inclined. As you can see, the shape of this is not the same all around. There's a thinner part on this section here, and sorry, it's not focusing. So there, and this one has a lip. The one with the lip is the one that goes on the bottom, so it's supposed to go in like that. So just keep an eye out on that, because if you try to put it on backwards, it won't thread to the hole in there, and it might give you guys some confusion. So here it is. So I'm just gonna clean this up, make sure to lubricate the seals again, and put the new oil filter back, in there, a new one, and put this one back in there too. So we got the oil. You guys can see it's a black hole in there. There's no light, but I got the oil filter out, and it's right here. As you can see, the air filter, oil filter, I mean, it's right here, and it's kind of dirty. So yeah, so it's I guess it does its job. It looks like it's doing its job. So yep, good thing to replace that now. 3,300 miles. I'm sure it's not that bad. It just looks bad. So the foil is also doing its job, protecting your exhaust from oil. You don't have to clean that up. So yeah, so let me clean this up and look into this and see if I can close it all up, and then put the new oil filter back in and start filling it up with oil. I've cleaned all over the place here, and I'm pretty satisfied. So I will be going ahead and putting the oil filter back on now. Here's the new one. As you can see, very clean. In comparison, here's the old one. Yeah, so you don't want to reuse that filter, so it's a good thing to replace it. So for this one, you have this section and this section. This section is the one that goes inside. So we're just gonna put that on there. So you hear it kind of wedge into place. There's like a nozzle in there. So here it is. All right, looks like clean, all clean inside. And I'm gonna put back this thing back on now. As I mentioned, the one with the lip is the one that goes on the bottom. So let me coat this with oil first, so there's a good seal. It doesn't tear while I'm pushing it in there. And yeah, so we'll start filling it up with oil now. All right, so we're closing it up now. I think I am pretty sure we're set to, I think I'm pretty sure we're ready to fill it up with oil now. I'm just making sure nothing is leaking. Down here, everything is tight and secure. Okay, let me just close this up. So I'll take this moment to mention that it's a really good idea to learn how to do the oil change yourself, because no one will take care of your motorcyclist more than you do. So it's kind of like, you know, it's like your baby or something. No one's gonna really take good care of it as like it's their own, because yeah, nobody really cares unless they own it. So oil changes like this, it's very simple. It's a good thing. It's a good practice for you to look under the bike and all that too, and get to know your bike more. So gives you like a pride of ownership type of thing. I don't have a small torque wrench, so I'm just snugging this, and I'm guessing it's around 8 foot-pounds. Yeah, because when I built the DRZ, I didn't have a small one. I think my smallest torque wrench goes to 20, which it sucks. So I gotta get one of those small ones. So that's tight. It's sealed. It's seated properly. I don't see any gaps in here. So yeah, I think we're ready to fill it up with oil, and that's on the right side of the bike. So the oil filler section is on the right side of the bike. As you can see here, it says oil. Just twist that. It's always hard to get your finger around there. There. So just have a little give, and I can turn it by hand. Alright. Oh, there is an O-ring in here. Okay, so be mindful of that O-ring. Put that aside here. And also, more cleaning. Just wipe around here so you don't have any debris or anything falling in there. It's a good feeling to have everything clean like that. And like I said again, no one will take care of your bike like this unless your dealer maintenance whatever guy is the same as you are. So here's the oil of choice, which is a Ducati branded Shell oil, 15W50. Same with the Monster S4RS. I think most Ducatis, or if not all, use this same kind. So we're gonna do that. I have 4 quarts in here. One is a half quart because I used it on a previous oil change. But I think we only have to use 3 or so quarts in here. Let me see if I can show you. Oh, so here's the view in the bottom here, towards the bottom of the screen. Here's the sight glass. So we're gonna fill it up so that it's never almost to the top of this, almost to the second the top line here. So that's usually how I put it, and so it's just I don't really aim for the middle. Give you guys a view of both of those. There. Hopefully I don't spill this. So I added 3 quarts. As you can see, the oil level is way high, but that means because the oil hasn't circulated through the system yet. So before I add the final 0.5 whatever quarts, I'm gonna run the engine and let it cool down, and then we'll check the oil level again. Alright, so now that the oil has circulated a little bit, so now we're not on any level. You gotta add more oil now. Let's see where we end up with the last half quart. As you can see, the level is slowly rising now. Almost there. I think I'll run it one more time, and then I usually put it at the top line. Let's see. Alright, so after running it a few more times, couple times, the oil level is back up to the line at the top line. So that's a good thing. So after the oil has cycled, it's going back to the proper line. So that means we have enough oil. Alright, YouTube, so that should do it. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Make sure to check if there's any leaks. Make sure all your bolts are tight so you doesn't fall off when you start riding. And yeah, that should do it. Basic oil change for 1199 Panigale R, or any Panigale really, for this model era, and that should be the same. If you have any questions, let me know. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys on the next one.